Hello and welcome to Tutorials with Bear Professor. Who is I? Let's get into it. Let's get after it. Let's go.
Okay, let's open up Premiere Pro. We're going to look at some editing techniques. Let's do a new project. We're going to call it Editing Test 1. And our location, let's go with that. That's recent, but you can pick more. Okay, I don't see what I'm looking for. Sequence, we'll leave the same. Okay, let's get going. We'll bring in our clips once we get our project set up. Okay, so this looks odd. I'm not used to that. Let's go to, we can either go to effects controls or source. Let's go to source. Right, if we want to change our workspace, we come up here. Most often we'll be on editing. You know, sometimes we'll be in effects if we want to add in some transitions and some different things. Effects and editing, you know, either one. Let's do editing. Okay. Don't have any clips, don't have a timeline. Let's bring in some of the good stuff. Okay. So we can drop these clips straight to our timeline to load them all, but we don't really want to do that. We're better than that. Let's bring them here. We can also import them from this screen. And we wait. Okay. Here we go. Well, we kind of want to see what we're working with here. Let's go to icon view. Now we get a little preview. When we move our mouse over it, we can even scrub through a little bit. So I got my little puppers here. Let's get started. So now if I want to drag in a clip, I can drag it straight over, bring the full clip in. That's my preference. Some people like to preload up here. I in, O out. And you can do just a short sequence here, you know, bring it in just like that. If I bring in my full clip, you know, I'm bringing this whole thing in. Well, wait a minute. No, I'm not gonna do that. Different clip, different clip. Okay. Now grab this to see the whole view. Right, that brings in the whole clip. First one we brought in was just our little man for the clip we have. Okay, so as you can see, you have the video track, audio track. They're linked together. If you want to separate them, highlight that, right click, unlink. Then you can delete the audio. You know, maybe you want a voiceover or something like that. All right, I dropped this on video 3 and the audio automatically went to audio 3. Let's bring this down. And the audio didn't follow with it. Let's do that. Now if we overlap on top, right, whatever's on top will be visible and whatever's below will not be. So the top clip starts there. We got our puppers here. Okay. Let's go back, make sure snaps on. That'll snap right there. What are we doing here? Let's get a different clip. When we edit these, we can do. Let's try this one. When we do clips back to back, we can add in a transition in between there if they're touching each other. Okay. So if I want to pull this up to where my cursor is, right, I want to start my scene, this clip right before he sticks his tongue out. Right there. We call this cutting on the action. This allows continuity and transition from scene to scene a little bit smoother. And I'll show you why. Okay. Let's drag this clip out. Okay, I want to stop this clip right when he hits the ground. But to show you why we cut on the action, let's just pull this out. We'll go here. You know what? We'll lead into that. We'll get it. This will be sloppy here, so. Right? It just seems kind of random. Now I'll show you what cutting on the action does and how it looks more professional. Okay. We'll get him landing now. If I go up here to this, I can use my mouse roller button to scrub scene by scene to very precisely get the cutoff point I want. Let's go back to right when he lands. Boom. Let's give that a look. We're also going to cut on the action on this scene instead of him just chilling there. Okay, we'll get him right before his tongue comes out. Right there. Okay. Pull that back. Okay, we're cutting on the action on the first clip and the second clip. Let's see how much smoother this looks now. Okay. Now instead of this weird clip dragging on that just changes inadvertently, you know, we're cutting on the action here. Let's look one more time. We may be able to even go a little farther and accentuate that land so it doesn't look like he's just a disappearing act. Okay, we'll go there. We'll zoom in here using the toolbar. Now we'll go to our blade tool, cut that clip, delete that, drag close. Let's see what this looks like now. Little better. Okay, I like that better. Dragging that out. Let's cut on the action. Let's see if this looks better. Right when he starts moving his head. We'll go there. Okay, I can use my blade tool or drag that. Here we go. Alright, let's see how this plays. Okay, that's a smooth transition. I can work with that. Now, let's say we have a sequence of clips, but we kind of want to tell the viewer that, you know, we're moving on to something else. Maybe a different topic. You know what? Let's clean this one up a little bit. This is really long clip. I for in. We'll run that a few seconds. Out. I'm just taking this randomly. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm going to put these up to each other. We're going to dip to a transition, telling the audience that we're moving on to a different scenario. Even though we're not really. We're going to go to video transitions. Dissolve. Now, good transitions are kind of like a good bass player. You don't really know they're there. So we don't need any wacky transitions, anything like that. Clip to clip, straight cuts. You know, I'll show you what cross dissolve looks like. Right, that almost tells the audience, you know, there's time passing by. Right, we're gonna skip to the next day or something. Dip to black is my go-to, even if I use a transition at all. Boom, there you go. Okay. Leading into, that's a good one. Start things off. Lazy puppers. Cut on the action. Change scenarios. Bada bing, bada boom. What else is there? You can do a lot with that. Alright. We're going to start our sequence here. I for in. Right. and end it here. Oh, you know what? Maybe we want to fade to black at the end. That's always good too. There we go. And here's our full sequence.
Want to get a treat? Let's get a treat.
All right. Cut on the action. Moving on to a different scenario. Okay. We can do a lot with that. That's a lot of power at our hands. Now we know how to edit. Now we know transitions. Cleaning up the audio is a whole nother thing. But we'll use crossfades, so you drop the volume down, pick the other volume up. But for now, we're in pretty good shape. We know how to edit a video. Okay. File save. File save. Let's export this thing. All right, we always have kind of our same settings to reference. H.264, that's your codec. That is a very healthy codec for YouTube. 2997, right? 30 frames per second. Only time you're dipping to 24 is for the big screen for film. So stick to 30. Technically 29.97. Yeah. Okay, great. VBR 1 pass, that is your data compression, how many passes you can change. You know, if you really got to get that file size down, then we get into that. AAC, that's basically a glorified MP3. That's a nice audio clip. 48 kilohertz, stereo. We got our left and right. No, might be running mono on this for my clip. 1920 by 1080 is actually what we want, so it was good that I came up here. Okay. Audio, mostly just making sure it's turned on. AAC, 48 kilohertz. Ready to rock. Export. Now, if you have effects and transitions and a lot going on, motion graphics, right, this is going to need to render before you export. So that'll allow some time. If you do need to render something, if this bar is red instead of yellow, you can always go up to sequence, render into out. Green light mean render.
Let's get a treat.
A day in the life of Lincoln.